In this tutorial, we're gonna go over a topic of having a custom pivot point, or also called edit pivot. So a brief overview, I have this cube, right? And I'm gonna just quickly show. Let's say if I wanted this to be like a flap for a cardboard box. I press E as in Edward and I try to rotate it, look what happens. It's not doing what you want it to do. But in this lesson, I'm gonna show you how to have it like this. So I'm gonna hide this, close my outliner for a moment. Okay, and I'm being aware of where I am, the front view. All right, so first thing I wanna do is set my menu set to modeling. Here's your menu set, make sure it's modeling, you just never know, okay? I need my perspective camera. Oh, so I need to go back to my outliner, select my perspective camera, okay? I need to go to the attribute editor. So within here, attribute editor. If you do not see any of these, make sure to click on that. That'll show it to you. So here's my attribute editor, perspective shape. I need my focal length to be 90. Focal length, camera attributes, set it to 90. Then I need my near clip plane be 0.01, near clip plane 0.01, right? So if you're not sure what's happening, you have to watch the video. So just in case, that video is this one. Number 3, polygonal modeling workflow setup tutorial. Okay, that's the video. Next, polygon count. You need to turn it on. That's under display, heads up display, polygon count, which is all of that. Now I need to create a polygon cube. In my custom shelf, I'm gonna create a cube. I mentioned about always be aware of where you are in the 3D world by using the 3D compass cube. You wanna always face front. And whenever you're done with modeling a certain part, say from behind, always come back to where you are. I've had students where they just didn't pay attention to what I was saying and it just blew up their project. So it's a big deal. We're gonna change the component type. We're gonna change it to face mode. Right mouse button, click and hold, choose face mode. We're gonna delete the top face. Select it, press backspace to delete it. Next. I'm going to change the component type again. Right mouse button, click and hold. I want to be in edge mode. Then I'm going to double click, select. We're going to double click, select the top edges. Right here. Double click, select the top edges. Next. I want to extrude all 4 top edges. Right? I don't want this rotate tool, so I'm going to just press W. And the hotkey we're going to do is shift and right mouse button, click and hold. Shift, right mouse button, click and hold. We're going to extrude edge, right? And I want the thickness to be 0.5. Thickness, 0.5, boom. But you notice it still does not look like, say for example, like the flaps of a cardboard box, right? So under keep faces together, you want to turn it off. Keep faces together, you just want to click here and see what just happened. It separates each edge to be its own extrusion. And then from there, I want to press W to get rid of the floating menu. See? All right. But let's say, for example, if you wanted that floating menu back, that specific modeling menu, right, for whatever other situation, then I wrote a little note here saying, remember, if you need the extrude floating menu, right, you want to be in object mode and then press T. I'm going to right click and hold. I'm going to object mode and then you just press T as in Tom to bring it back. I'm going to just get out of that, press W. And also, the reason why we set to thickness at 0.5 is that 0.5 is half of this cube. 0.5 is half. And this cube, the size of this cube is exactly the size of 1 grid unit space. Okay? And this flap, when I had set it to thickness as 0.5, that is half of this 1 grid unit. Okay? Alright, next. I want to change the component type to face mode. So we're going to right mouse, click and hold. We're going to go to face mode. We're going to click on an extruded face. We're going to click on the extruded face, right? And then we're going to press E as in rotate. E as in rotate, right? We're going to click on the modeling toolkit. Modeling toolkit tab. We're going to scroll down. I want to introduce you to the rotate settings right here. If I press W, it's going to change to move settings. If I press E as in Edward, it's going to change to the rotate settings. If I press R for scale, it's going to change to scale settings, okay? So right now I need E as in Edward for the rotate settings. You're going to press the edit pivot button. Edit pivot. See what just happened? If I click it, I move. If I click it again, it goes back to normal. If I click it again, now this is a live pivot, meaning you could move the pivot around now. See? You can move it around. Undo, right? Press E, right? Press E. I'm over here. Back again. Rotate settings. Edit pivot. Now, you're going to hover your cursor over the model, right? You'll notice it's going to say align. You see the word align? You see how these things are lighting up in red? So this tells us where or what you want to use as a pivot. Now what you're going to do is you're going to click on the adjacent edge. You're going to click on the adjacent edge. So right here, this edge. See, I just moved, right? Notice the pivot point moves to the edge that you clicked on. Now you're going to press D as in David to toggle out of the live pivot. See how it changed? So D as in David is the hotkey for it, which I've mentioned it down here, right? And now you notice you can move it. See? Another example, grab that, right? You click on the edit pivot. Now it's live. You move your cursor over, right? And you align it to that edge, right? You can press D as in David to get out of the tool. And then you can just carefully rotate it. See this axis right here? Don't do this, don't do that. It's this one. See right there? See, you see this action it's doing? All right, so that's that. The hotkey for the edit pivot, so you can work faster, right? So you can grab that face, okay? Press D as in David once, right? Hover over, click on the edge. That's where it's gonna pivot off of. Press D as in David one more time to toggle out of it, and boom, okay? Next, I want to talk about the hotkey for step snap rotation. So I'm going to select on this face. And if you look down here, there's this word called step snap, and it's off and it's gray, right? But before I do that, let me press D as in David. I need to align it to show this example. All right, I'm going to press D as in David to get out of it. So I'm going to press J as in Jacob, all right? I'm going to press and hold it. Press and hold J as in Jacob, and look what happens here. See it? It changes. It says absolute and it says 15. That's for 15 degrees. So I'm holding J as in Jacob, and it's going to snap, 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 snap. 15 degrees increments. So if you need to do something that needs precision based like certain degree increments, you press J. And that also includes for example, moving it or scaling it. If I press W, right, for a move tool, and I press J as in Jacob, right, I'm still holding J as in Jacob. I could set the increment to say one whole or one grid unit increment at a time, right? Or I could set it to the 0.10, a tenth of it, right? Or you could press R. Even with scaling, you can do incremental scaling. Next, you can rotate the rotational axes of the pivot point. So what does that mean? So I'm going to do space bar. I want to use an example like this face right here. You see this face? And you see how it's angled this way. Now, what if I wanted to scale, right, or rotate or whatever, or move this here straight, not straight, but at this exact angle? What if I wanted to scale it like that, scale it out like that? Okay, how do I do that? Because right now the scale is doing this, right? So same thing, I need to get a custom pivot point. I'm gonna press D as in David, and you notice right now I'm using the scale tool, right? I can press D as in David to make it live, right? I'm gonna choose that. It's gonna scale off of that, right? But you notice, you see how it's angled down like this. If I press R and I try to scale it, it's gonna do this. Now, it is not what I want. So I'm gonna press D as in David once. I'm gonna, you see this green thing? Green circle? I'm gonna rotate it. I can choose the rotational axes of my tool. So I just rotate it. Now I'm gonna press R. Now look what happens. See? So you don't have to eyeball things, you know, and yank it down. You could just have a custom scale or a custom scale, move, rotate, and have the axis exactly the way you want it. Right? Let's do one more. I'm gonna select that face. Ooh. I'm gonna press E as in Edward. Right? I'm gonna press D as in David once. I'm gonna align it to that. Right? And then you see how it's angled down? Spacebar over here. I'm gonna just eyeball it and rotate it right around there like that. A little bit more, like there. Now I'm gonna press E as in Edward. Now it's exactly aligned. Oh, I forgot to mention this part right here. When deselecting a customized pivot, you will lose that pivot point, okay? So for example, like this one right here, see, you lose the pivot point. You can't get it back. It's temporary. You want to save it as your name underscore edit underscore pivot underscore assignment. Save it as that. And then you're gonna save it same as usual, W drive, our class. There's a little asterisk here because I have 3 of these classes. You know, you choose the right class and then you save it into your folder that you made. So that's the assignment for that.